and she is going to talk about all things Shakeology, which is Shakeology, as you know, is our big, bread and butter of our business and what really truly helps change our clients' lives. She's going to talk about ingredients, what is in Shakeology, retention, how to, your Shakeology story. So I would suggest getting out your pen and paper so you can take notes. And just so you get some background on her, she's been a coach for 4 years. She was a success starter. She's 5-star diamond. She was an elite coach. She's been in Success Club for 43 months, which is incredible. Congratulations. That means she's helped a lot of people. She's owns a gym. And she has a master's in nutrition. So girl knows what she's talking about. And prior to that rock star life, she was a dental hygienist, and she actually retired from that. So pretty cool that we get to hear from her tonight about Shakeology. So go ahead, Abby. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to be here with you guys tonight. Thank you for putting up with my wet hair. I just got out of the shower because I'm on the East Coast and it's 10, which means my bedtime is after this call. So I am showered up. You either could see sweaty Abby or showered Abby. I don't know which one was worse. So showered it is, but I am going to tell you just a little bit more about my story, how I got into Beachbody, because I hope that when you hear a little bit of my story, you can find something that you relate to. I know when I hear people speak on calls, the thing that I like the most is usually their story, because that's where you find connection with people, right? Just like our customers, which I'm going to talk to you guys about tonight. It's not Shakeology. Although Shakeology is awesome, it's not Shakeology that gets people to buy it. It's you and your story. So hopefully you find some connection with me. I'm going to share my screen because I'm a squirrel, and if I don't share my presentation with you guys, I won't stay on track. So can you see my screen? Someone give me a thumbs up. Yeah, you can. Cool. So I think once I hit the play button, I can't see your pretty faces anymore. So if you have questions, just type them in chat, and I'll come back to those at the end, okay? So here's the deal. So I like to call this presentation for the love of superfoods, leading with Shakeology, because really that's what it's all about. As coaches, I think it's super important for us to understand Shakeology. But as I just got off a call with my team and I was talking to them, I was like, no matter how much we know about Shakeology, we know it for us, really. That we know it so that we can build belief for ourselves in the product. And it's really your story. In the end, that's what's going to do it for people, because they don't want to hear that moringa leaves give us energy. Like, what they want to hear is what Shakeology's done for you. Okay. So like Tonya shared, I do have my master's in nutrition, but I, was into fitness and nutrition before Beachbody. So just to share a little bit about myself, I got into Beachbody totally unexpectedly. I thought Beachbody coaches weren't really legit. I'm sorry. That was my thought process, because I came from the gym industry. I came from the nutrition world. And to me, everybody was just like, posting their workouts on Facebook, and I didn't get it. I didn't get it at all, what it was all about and how those two things could go hand in hand at the time. So I was not open to the opportunity at all. So if you were one of those people who's ever got like a hard no from somebody, that was me. I was the hard no. I did not want anything to do with anything like this. But what happened was this: at my gym, I had tons of clients asking me questions about 4 years ago about all these different products on the market, about different diet pills, about different shakes. I would name some of them that might be what others would view as competitors of ours, but I won't do that on a recording. But you use your brain. Anything you've ever heard of, these were the products that were brought to the table for me. But sidebar real quick, none of them are in competition with us, because Shakeology is the best, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But people were coming to me asking me about all these pills and shakes, and I was like, guys, just stop. Eat whole foods, work out. You don't need any of that stuff. And they kept being persistent and asking me more and more questions. And I was like, okay, I'm not just going to pretend like I know things I don't know. I'm going to go out and look into these products that you asked me about, and I'll give you my honest feedback and opinion. So I went through and I had a list of things that they wanted me to look into, and so many of them were so easy to just be like, I can't believe this is on the market. I can't believe they're allowed to market these things to people. These ingredients are illegal in other countries. It was so easy to just like throw them in the trash can. And then I got to Shakeology and I started to look at the label, and it didn't immediately just get shoved aside. I was like, okay, this looks all right. These ingredients are checking off. None of my big no-nos are on the list. And I started to explore a little deeper into it. How are these ingredients processed? Where did they come from? How pure are they? And I was, to be honest with you, quite impressed what was in Shakeology, how it was processed, what they were doing with it, and the integrity that the company had with the product. So I decided that, hey, this is something that I wouldn't tell people not to drink. And if I'm going to tell them that they can drink it, I'm going to try it myself. So that day I went online to Beachbody.com. I did not have a coach, and I was going to buy my first bag of Shakeology. So I'm looking through all the fine print because I was an incredibly frugal person at the time. And I'm like, how can I get a better deal on this? I'm like the girl Google searching like coupon code for Shakeology. I'm like, there's got to be a deal on this stuff. And I read the fine print and I found out that I could get a 25% discount if I became a coach. So that day on Beachbody.com, without a coach, without anybody, I signed up to be a coach for a discount on Shakeology. Okay. So number one, if you don't know this, if you are a diamond or above coach, you are active, you are hitting Success Club, you can get coach leads. And I was a coach lead. I was a lead assigned to my coach who lives in Michigan. And, the rest is a little bit history with that. But here's the deal. So I bought Shakeology that day. I believed in the product. It changed my life. Within 2 weeks, I was completely sold. And I based the first 8 months of my business solely off of Shakeology. I still didn't believe in the workouts. I still didn't believe you could get fit at home until my coach lost 98 pounds at home. And then I started to believe in at-home workouts too. And then really when things came full circle for me is when the 21-Day Fix came out in February of 2014. And I saw a very simple nutrition program that made healthy eating available to everybody. And I saw the value that I could only see so many clients in a day as a nutritionist. And I was having people pay me to sit there and talk to them for hours and deliver them something that looked quite similar to the 21-Day Fix. And I couldn't help as many people, and it took up a lot of my time. So I started to see coaching as more of an opportunity to help more people, not just within my community, but far beyond my reach. So, I could tell you a lot more layers of my story, but we'll leave it at that for now. The last thing I'll just tell you is when I got started with coaching, I had a 7-month-old daughter. I was a full-time grad student working on my master's in nutrition. I was working full-time as a dental hygienist. I run a gym. I was teaching 10 to 14 classes a week. And I volunteer at my church and I sing on our worship team, as well as, all the just mom and wife duties. So if you're somebody or you are thinking about people that you'd like to have on your team that you're just like, they're too busy for that, I've totally found in my own life and in the lives of my coaches that busy people are better. Busy people do more, busy people get more done. And this is the best opportunity in the world for busy people. So don't write busy people off. And, I hope that you can get something from this presentation today. So what is your Shakeology story? So I truly believe in order to connect with people about Shakeology, you have to have a story. One thing I did with my team a while back was we did posts on social media so we could find each other. We hashtagged Shakeology Changed Me, and we shared our Shakeology stories on Facebook. And I want you to think about what Shakeology has done for you. Like, why should you actually drink it? There's a few reasons why we should drink it as coaches. Number one, we should be a product of the product. If you don't think Shakeology is worth the price and you don't think it does anything for you, nobody that you talk to is going to believe that either. I believe that what we believe deep down inside comes off in our conversation, whether we think it does or not. So you have to be a product of the product. And like I said before, products tell, like Shakeology, you can know all about the ingredients, but your story is what's really going to inspire people. So it truly is the best. Seriously, like I said at the beginning of the call, I researched so many shakes, so many products, and with all I know about nutrition, if I found something that was truly better, I would be drinking it. I wouldn't drink Shakeology. So it really is the best. You can trust me on that. And then why should we drink Shakeology, and why should our customers drink Shakeology every single day? Is because of a nutrition compounding effect. If you don't really know what that means, think about it like this. If you were taking a daily vitamin and you only took it once a week, do you think you'd have the same effect on your health as if you took it every single day, right? The same thing's happening with Shakeology and us replenishing our nutrition stores so our body can function at its highest capacity all the time. We drink it every day. Is it unhealthy to drink it once a week? Absolutely not. Think about a salad. Is it a bad choice to eat a big salad full of tons of superfoods once a week? Absolutely not. But are you going to be healthier if you do it every day? By far. So Shakeology 101. I'm going to breeze through some of this, and if you have questions, type them in the chat and we'll come back to it, okay? But this is something I do with my customers on a very smaller scale that I'll explain to you after we go through the ingredients, but keep that in mind of how you can apply this to your customers too. So we're going to go through the 7 categories or 6 categories of Shakeology really that are on the back of your bag and just dive into them a little bit. So the first thing is protein blends in Shakeology. So this is the major component that differentiates the black bag from the white bag in vegan and regular Shakeology, and that is the type of protein that's in them. So vegan Shakeology does not have any animal products in it, obviously, but that means it's a protein blend. Pea, oat, rice, quinoa, flax, sacha, and chia is what makes up that. But what I'll highlight on that real quick is this. I don't know if any of you are vegan Shakeology drinkers. Vegan is my jam personally. But if you'd ever tried a vegan protein powder or vegan shake before, I'd hope that you could notice an immense difference between it and Shakeology. And one of the reasons for that is just the blend of protein that we use and how we process the protein, which I in particular think is really cool. But we use different protein sources that all make a complete protein. So animal protein is what's called a complete protein. It has all 9 essential amino acids in it. So technically, it could be protein and only have whey protein in it, right? But for vegan Shakeology, we need a blend of proteins so that we can get all 9 essential amino acids. And all that means is that they're things that we have to get by intaking it. Our body can't build those on its own. So we get all 9 essential amino acids through the protein blend in vegan Shakeology, okay? So what is also cool about it is pea protein is kind of proven to be a medium releasing protein speed. So it mimics what we can do in protein powders if we combine whey protein and casein protein together, and we have slow release and fast releasing proteins. Same thing happens when we put a blend like this in vegan Shakeology, and pea protein does that for us. So super awesome protein source. And then regular Shakeology does also have a blend in it, but primarily sourced from whey protein. So what does protein do? Protein helps us build and repair our muscles. It helps us reduce hunger and food cravings. It keeps our blood sugar steady. But the first thing I want to highlight real quick on protein while we're still here is how many of you might be guilty that you've ever called Shakeology a protein shake, right? I know when I first started, when I was trying to figure out how to explain this to people, I had stumbled over my words and I had called Shakeology a protein shake. So if you've ever called Shakeology a protein shake, it's okay, but never do it again. And vow to never call Shakeology a protein shake because it's so much more than that. If we call it just a protein shake, people are going to wonder why it costs $130. But it costs $130 because it's not just a protein shake. It's so much more than that. So remember that protein is a component in Shakeology, but it's not what Shakeology is, okay? So next source of nutrition in Shakeology is vitamins and minerals. So everything in Shakeology fulfills our daily needs for a generally healthy person. That's what I always like to highlight. If some of you aren't familiar with the term scope of practice, basically that's what we're allowed to do as coaches, or a scope of practice of a nutritionist or of, a medical doctor. As a coach, we can't tell people what they should and shouldn't do. So don't tell people that they don't have to take their supplements that were prescribed by their doctor. But a generally healthy person who just prescribed themselves a multivitamin, they don't need that per se if they don't have any known deficiencies that somebody's labeled them with. I believe you can get all the nutrition you need in a day from Shakeology. So what's the difference between vegan and regular on top of the protein source is vegan Shakeology is not fortified. If you don't know what fortified means, that means that there's added vitamins and minerals in regular Shakeology that aren't occurring just naturally from the food sources. So that's why if you look at the back of the bag of vegan and regular Shakeology will give you the exact amounts of everything that's in it. So the exact amounts of vitamin A and vitamin D. Everything will be listed, but vegan Shakeology doesn't say that, and that's because it's not fortified. So by law, we can't say how much is in it. Vegan Shakeology does still have all the vitamins and minerals that are essential for the daily needs of a generally healthy person, but it's not fortified. It's all from whole food sources only. Okay, so think about it like this. I like to explain it that if you had two oranges, right, and they both came from different trees, or even if they both came from the same tree, but one's a little bit bigger, one's a little bit smaller, do you think they'd both have the exact same amounts of vitamin C in them? No, right? So that's why we can't put on the back of vegan Shakeology the exact amount that's in it, because all different fruits and vegetables and superfoods all came together in one bag to create it. And each bag is going to vary just a little bit in the amount that's in it. So by law, we can't write it. Does that make sense? Yeah, I can see like two faces. So we'll go the two of you or everybody. So vegan Shakeology, like I said, has it all in it. It's just whatever's bioavailable from each piece of food specific to that bag. Okay. So antioxidants, what are antioxidants? Antioxidants are protecting the body from free radicals. They prevent cellular damage. They promote cardiovascular health. They are awesome for our body. And Shakeology is loaded with antioxidants. That mainly comes from the superfruits in Shakeology. And one of my favorite things to highlight is the acerola cherry, because one teeny little cherry has 65 times the vitamin C of an orange. And most people view like an orange as like such a rich source of vitamin C. But we have such amazing superfoods in Shakeology that provide much more potent nutrition than that. So other things that are cool to highlight about antioxidants, just so you know, for Shakeology, is that cafe latte having the coffee fruit in it has an amazing antioxidant load. Antioxidants in coffee fruit are just like through the roof. And so that's a special plus, I think, of cafe latte. One thing that I really appreciate about Beachbody is that, they could have made like a coffee flavored shake years and years and years ago, but they don't put anything in Shakeology that doesn't add to the nutrition. So they, found the coffee fruit and made that add to the whole awesome properties of Shakeology, not just adding like an artificial flavor to Shakeology to make a flavor that they wanted. They only will put something in it that's going to add to the nutrition quality. So that's super cool too. Matcha was recently added to Shakeology back in April, and matcha has 100 times more antioxidants than like regular green tea, which used to be in Shakeology. So another cool fact for you. Phytonutrients. So what do you need to know about phytonutrients? If somebody looks at the back of that bag and they're like, what the crap is this stuff? All we really need to know is that phytonutrients aid in cellular health and communication within our cells. So they help our cells know what to say to each other in a healthy body. So one of the things that added extremely to the phytonutrients in Shakeology was matcha. And like I shared, matcha has 100 times more antioxidants than green tea. It supports our natural energy, calms the mind, and has disease-fighting powers. So those are super cool things about phytonutrients in Shakeology, but they help with our immune system and healthy aging. I know so many women who have been drinking Shakeology for years, and they look younger now than they did, 2, 3, 4 years ago. And that's from positive, awesome nutrition that's in Shakeology. So adaptogens. Adaptogens if you think of the word adapt, they help your body adapt to stress is basically what an adaptogen does. But it's immune support, it's support from stress. So why is that important for us as coaches? Well, I mean, we all, I think, can say that we have some stress in our lives, right? But also we put stress on our bodies through the workouts that we do. We're a fitness company. So Shakeology and the adaptogens in Shakeology help our body combat with both physical stress of workouts and also the stress of daily life. So that helps with our immune system. When we can't, combat stress in our lives, we get sick more often. So that's really important and has been huge for me. I had an incredibly weak immune system before I started drinking Shakeology, and that's been a major plus for me. So that also helps naturally increase our energy without caffeine as well. And it promotes calmness because it helps combat that stress. So chaga was a big deal when this got added to Shakeology in April, and chaga helped a lot with the adaptogens in Shakeology. One super cool thing I think is that with chaga, there's studies that show that it can help mitigate LDL, that's bad cholesterol in our body. So that's super awesome. We already knew that Shakeology was clinically proven to lower cholesterols with the clinical trials they did, but chaga is scientifically proven to help that as well. Super cool. So digestive support, pre and probiotics, fiber, digestive enzymes is kind of the last nutrition category of Shakeology. But basically what to understand about pre and probiotics is prebiotics is the food for probiotics in your gut. So probiotics are the healthy, good bacteria, and prebiotics help feed that good bacteria in your gut. And yacon root has the highest concentration of prebiotics in any plant in the world, and that's in Shakeology. So that's super cool as well. Chicory root, that has to do with fiber content in Shakeology too, and the digestive enzymes they add help our body. One that I always like to highlight and I find very interesting is lactase. Lactase helps us digest lactose, milk products in the body. And what most people don't know is that our body doesn't produce lactase anymore after we're the age of 2 because we don't need dairy. I know everybody loves to think we need dairy, but we don't need dairy. But lactase is there to help us digest dairy. So that's something for you. So that's the nutrition components of Shakeology. If you have questions about the nutrition of Shakeology or something kind of spurred your thought process, a question you've got from a customer before, type it in chat so we can come back to it. But I'm going to talk to you now about how I take what I just said to you and I make that available for my customers to become challengers. So what I do every single month in my business is I run what I call tasting groups. I've been doing this for probably 3 years now, and this has been a game changer in my business personally. So what I do, I just went through 6 categories of nutrition with you. Those are the 6 categories on the back of the bag: protein, antioxidants, phytonutrients, adaptogens, pre and probiotics. You get the drift. Each day of the week, I go over one of those in my group. And then on the 7th day, I go live and I tell my Shakeology story, that thing I told you about in the beginning, the thing that is the deal breaker, I think, when it comes to all this, your story. So I go through each day of the week and I share one of those things, and then I share my story in a group setting, and people either buy the Shakeology sampler, or I prefer to purchase packets of Shakeology and ship them out personally because it's more volume. So that's what I like to do, but you can do the sampler or packets. But I've found that when you lead with Shakeology, when you get somebody to taste Shakeology, to get to know the product, to understand and be educated, you're going to get way fewer objections, okay? Because most objections are just lack of understanding. People need more information. They don't know what information they need yet, but they need more information. So when we provide that information for them in what I do in tasting groups, I think it helps immensely. Also, what is the bulk of the purchase, right, of the challenge packet? Shakeology. So if you have somebody already sold on Shakeology, it makes a challenge pack super easy to get them to want to enjoy with you. So how I run groups, I don't know what these red lines across the screen are. Can you guys see that too? Like, did those just appear for you like a second ago? Well, we'll pretend like they're not there. I don't know how they got there. But how I run groups.
Sorry.
Are you drawing on the screen? I love it. So how I run Shakeology groups is I typically do this the last week of every month. Why I do that is because I have people who try Shakeology the last week of the month, and then they order it within the first 5 days of the month, and I hit Success Club by the 5th of the month every month. So that's what I do personally in my business to make it a stress-free time for me. And like I said to you guys, I do one of those topics each day, and then I go live the 7th day with my story. I switch it up sometimes from month to month to make it interesting. Maybe it's a 4-day group or a 5-day group or a 7-day group or a group that I call Cut the Crap or a Sugar Detox or Clean Eating, but they all are Shakeology. They're all Shakeology tasting groups, and it just makes it interesting when I call it something new and put a new spin or focus on it. So like I said, why do I run these groups? 75% of my challengers come from these groups. Every single month, that's where I get my challengers from. It boosts volume when I buy boxes of Shakeology, or when people buy sample packs of Shakeology, that boosts volume. New challengers are ready at the end of the month to sign up right at the beginning of the month, because I run it the last week of the month. And like I said, if you lead with Shakeology, the challenge pack is an easy sell. So social media, all these things come together when it comes to Shakeology, because, you know, what value are we really offering people if we just pose with our Shakeology cup and kiss it? I love Shakeology too, but it's not offering anybody any value. So I'm going to share with you guys a few examples of what I do with sharing Shakeology. Feel free to take pictures of it or steal my ideas. That's, you know, what we're here for. So one thing I do is I highlight objections about Shakeology all the time in Facebook posts, okay? So if somebody gives me a reason they don't want to drink Shakeology, I go make a post about it immediately. And, you know, one of my favorite ones is the one on the left there, because it's just funny and my face is ridiculous. But the whole point of that post was, I'll read the beginning of it to you in case you can't see it, but it says, "Oh, no, you didn't." And so it starts with, "Oh, no, you didn't." Everybody's unmuted. Can't hear. But so it starts with, "Oh, no, you didn't." And that's my first tip for you, is that the first line of your post needs to be like super engaging. Like, why should I read that post that she made? And now I'm intrigued. Her face is ridiculous, and she wrote, "Oh, no, you didn't." And the whole point of this is my face and thoughts when I hear somebody say their protein shake is just like mine. All right. And so in this post, I addressed how Shakeology is not a protein shake. Okay. So that's just an example over there. The one on the top right, this was about greenberry Shakeology. I used to think greenberry Shakeology was disgusting. And I related this post to one of my coaches loved greenberry, and she's like, "Abby, you've got to try greenberry again. I can't believe you hated greenberry." And so I tried greenberry again, and I loved it. And so I made a post relating to how, you know, just like I tell my 4-year-old that her taste may change and she needs to try foods again, I need to try it again too. And that was relative to somebody who told me they had already tried Shakeology in the past and they didn't like it. So these are just different ways that I've combated Shakeology objections, but I do that all the time. Shakeology, what I call jabs. If you guys aren't familiar with the terminology of jabs and hooks, that's a Gary Vaynerchuk thing. And jabs are basically like breadcrumbing our love for Shakeology, what Shakeology does for us. We're not asking people to drink it. We're just sharing value with them, okay? And so I do this all the time. I'm kind of known for my Shakeology's never in a shaker cup. It's always in some fun martini glass or a donut mug or something obnoxious. So that's just my style. Yours doesn't have to be that. But, you know, like that one on the left says superfood happy hour, chocolate cake martini, or is it my Shako? Life is better with sprinkles. So this was just engaging and fun. People read that and it looked like dessert and they're like, "Oh, I kind of want that." You know, the other one was, "I like you almost as much as donuts." And, you know, people always ask me, because I don't say it's Shakeology. I get comments all the time on these posts. "What is that? What is that? What's in your cup? What's in your cup? What's that chocolate superfood you talk about?" If I tell them it's Shakeology, they're going to Google it, and then maybe they're going to buy it, and it's not going to be from me. So I like to give people curiosity and let them ask questions on my posts. Okay. So then in the top right, I can't really read it because your faces are covering it, but that one was in a wine glass, and I was talking about presentation. And in the top, it said, remember, when your body's hungry, it wants nutrients, not just calories. So I'm talking about the nutrition of Shakeology and just kind of breadcrumbing these things around. Okay. So then these are just some more examples of that. So you can see sometimes I'll put like Snapchat filter on it. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of whipped cream on top of it. I'll make it fun. And those are just examples. I'll let you take a picture if you want, and then I'll flip it. Cool. Okay. So then what else comes? So we have to address objections. We have to give some jabs about Shakeology, but we also have to give public invitations for people to drink Shakeology, try Shakeology, all of the above. So this is public invitations for my Shakeology tasting groups. Sometimes like the one on the bottom right, that was one that I advertised as a sugar detox. And we gave up all things with added sugar in them, and people drank Shakeology. So I always have public invitations, and the thing in the bottom says, P.S. don't forget about private invites too, because I truly believe you have to have both. You cannot have one and not the other. I have coaches tell me all the time, Abby, I put out a public invitation about a Shakeology tasting group and I didn't get any response. Guess what? Me either. I think your faces are covering the one, but like, for example, I think the one on the top right maybe was the one I did in January. And I think like 3 people liked that post. Like one person commented that they wanted more information about it. But guess what? I had 25 people in that group. And I think like 8 of them bought challenge packs in the end. And that was because I privately invited people too. They came from private invitations, not just my public invitations. So the other thing I'll share with you guys when it comes, this is kind of leading into retention of Shakeology. So I have pretty awesome Shakeology retention, and that's because I lead with a 90-day commitment. So from the onset of talking to people about challenge groups, about Shakeology, when they buy a challenge pack from me, they know that I expect them to do this for 90 days. And why do I do that? I expect them to do it for 90 days because I know they're not going to change their life in 30 days. I don't want them to have one healthy month. I want them to have a healthy life and lifestyle. And it's important for me to lay that groundwork with them from the beginning. So I'll show you guys this slide real quick that I made. This was based off of the challenge pack pricing before they reduced it to $160, which it's still supposed to go back up to $199. So we'll use this as our reference point. So if you lead with a 3-month commitment, what does this mean for you? Well, if the challenge pack is $199, you get $70 commission. 3 people enroll with you, you hit Success Club 5 and you made $210, right? Well, month 2, because they know they're doing this for 3 months with you, you have 3 new people again, and you have $210 of commission. And then you have 3 people on Shakeology Home Direct for $19.50, because this was when they were still getting the 10% discount. And that's $58.50 for a total of $268.50. Then look in month 3. We do the same thing. Now we have 6 people on Shakeology Home Direct, and you're making $327 in commissions. Now, what if your goal is Success Club 10? Even better, you can double these numbers, okay? So I want to show you how easily you can get commissions, retail commissions, and get people on recurring Shakeology orders if you lead with more than a 1-month commitment. I know for me, when I was first starting, I often would say to people like, hey, just try it for 30 days and like, I'll help you cancel it. You can cancel it right after that. And I was like already talking to them about canceling before they even tried it, instead of leading with a commitment. Okay, so this is what I teach my coaches, what I lead with myself. My personal goal is always at least 5 people every month, but I bring new people into a 90-day commitment, and I have a lot of people who stay on Shakeology long term. In the end of this, I'll show you a slide that it's called like 90 days to lifer or coach, and that's what I believe a 90-day commitment will set you up for. So setting the expectation. I say this when I'm talking to people. So like I said, private invitations, I'm talking to people. When we get to the point where like we're talking about the group, I'm letting them know that this is 90 days from the onset. You can't expect people to want to keep going if you never told them. But I tell them 90 days from the beginning. The other thing that I make sure I let people know is that, hey, in my group, you're expected to check in daily. So don't be sad if you have inactive challenge groups if you never told people that you expect them to check in daily. And that's something that I had to learn the hard way from a lot of just challenge groups where it was only me posting all the time. So I let them know what I expect of them from the onset. So Shakeology check-ins. This is super important, I think, to retention. And I do this in the first 2 weeks of my group. So somebody's in a challenge group with me. They committed for 90 days. Week 1, and I do this via voice memo. If that's not your style, I'd encourage you to try it anyways because it's awesome. But I send them a voice memo and I'm like, hey girl, I wanted to check in and see if you started drinking your Shakeology every day. How are you liking it? How are you mixing it? So I say this for 2 reasons. Number 1, I say every day in case they forgot they're supposed to drink it every day, because what's the number 1 reason people cancel their Shakeology? Because they didn't drink it all. And the second bag came and they had half their bag still because they didn't drink it every day. Okay. So I let them know, hey, are you drinking it every day? And then how are you mixing it? Because the other reason people cancel their Shakeology is because they do crazy things like stir it or like put 2 ounces of water in it and like chug it, or, you name it. They do all these awful things to it. Or like, I just had somebody the other day tell me like, oh, I put applesauce in it. I didn't really like it. I'm like, you just told me you didn't like applesauce. Why would you like applesauce and oats in your Shakeology? So if we help people out and see how they're mixing it, we can correct things from day 1. So I do that. In week 2, I'll send a message that's, hey girl, happy Monday. Don't forget to start your week strong with Shakeology. Are you noticing any less cravings, more energy? How's your digestion? I send this message because at this point in time, after being on Shakeology for a week, guess what happens? People are starting to have increased energy. They're starting to have less cravings. Their digestion is improving, and they might not have attributed that to Shakeology yet, right? But I want their brain to know, hey, Shakeology is helping me with that. That's awesome. I want them to see the value in it, okay? And the other thing that how's your digestion, I think is super important, because a lot of times people won't tell you something. Sorry if it's TMI for all y'all, but I'm just real and honest about it. But, people might not have pooped for 5 days and they didn't tell you in the group, or maybe the opposite is happening. They're having like diarrhea every day and they're not going to tell you in the group. But if you can help them out and correct something, maybe you can suggest one of 2 things. Hey, have you tried a half scoop? Maybe you need to just adjust to this a little bit more. This might be a big diet change for you. That's fine. Some people's systems are a little bit more sensitive than others. We can build up to a full scoop. Or maybe they need vegan Shakeology. I find that a lot of people need vegan Shakeology because their body just doesn't process whey as well. And vegan Shakeology is it's all from plants. Our body can really digest it easier. So that's something that I tell people, and if I know early, I can help them with. Last tip on that is, if you don't see that screenshot, that's super important. If you don't know that this is a real thing, I'm going to blow your mind, but I record that message one time. Hey girl, wanted to check in, see if you start drinking your Shakeology every day. How are you liking it? How are you mixing it? Then I click that button that says forward, and I click all the other new people in my challenge group. And it's going to send it to all of them individually, not as a group, all individually. And they don't know that it went to anybody else. And it took you 3 seconds. Okay. So if you didn't know you can do that, that's going to change your life, because you can send little check-ins to people just like, hey, how'd your workouts go this week? Send. And you can send that to a lot of people at one time. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to answer any questions that you have. And then I always have extra tips if you don't have questions, but ask your questions. Anybody have any questions?
That was awesome. I took a lot of notes. This is so good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I had some questions, but I want to give the group an opportunity. Does anybody have any questions? You can either raise your hand and I'll unmute you, or you can type it in the chat. Lindsay said, I saw you put Shako quite a few times in your posts since Summit. Are you removing that language?
So I do sometimes and I don't sometimes. So personally, I'm very much in the camp of, if you're referring to Chalene Johnson's, keynote there, of I create curiosity. I do not always say it, but then you'll see some of my posts just say superfoods, or I'll say my chocolate superfoods. That's one way I say it all the time. Or I'll say my superfood smoothie, or those are usually the ways I say it. Sometimes I say Shako for sure. I think it's good to have awareness, but most times people also don't know what Shako is. I don't say Shakeology as often as I say Shako. People will be like, what's that? What's Shako? Even if they Google Shako, they might not figure it out. So I do definitely agree, create as much curiosity as possible, but that doesn't mean you can never say the product name. You just don't want to always lead with it personally.
Awesome.
You're welcome. And Lindsay, yeah, isn't that crazy? We're the only race, animal, being, mammal, human, anything that has milk after infancy. Truth.
Right. My youngest daughter, my second daughter is severely allergic to dairy. So I pulled her off of it. And my third daughter my third child never had dairy. And go figure, she's my healthiest child. So it's interesting because she just never had it because my oldest did, and he decided he didn't like it after a certain age, and then my second couldn't have it, and so I never put my third on it, and she like spits it whenever she has it.
I have so many people ask, like, when they're asking, because I went vegan for quite a while before I got pregnant, and they're like, I could never not eat cheese. And I was like, well, you actually could. Anybody can do anything. But then I show them this video, and it's awful. It's called Dairy is Scary. It's on YouTube. It's like 6 minutes, and it's actually really scary. I mean, don't watch it if you don't want to, like, not be grossed out. But Dairy is Scary on YouTube. It's a girl, like, blonde, and it's really well done and very, very informative.
Nice.
That's awesome. Thanks.
So Lindsay also asked about how do you battle the people that hate stevia?
People are annoying. That's for
Hey, that's me. It's totally me. I like literally just want them to make one without stevia in it. I will put 2 dates or a banana and I will be just fine.
I do agree. Some people truly hate stevia. I think that it's way more tolerable in vegan Shakeology. I don't know if anybody else agrees with that or not, but I just think the sweetness is better in vegan than regular. Regular like leaves me always with a little bit of a taste I don't like. But for me, I always tell people personally that I do 2 things really. So I take this in the same camp as I do like the people that tell me like that they need it to be organic. So the first camp of organic is this. I always ask people, is everything in your house organic? Because I buy organic food and everything in my house isn't organic, i.e. those Oreos. So I'll say that to people all the time because that's just my personality. I'm like, come off it. And I always tell people like I'm way more worried about like that McDonald's than I am about the fact that Shakeology is not organic. But so I kind of combat it in the same way when it comes to stevia. I'm like, personally, I don't prefer the taste of stevia either. I do think it's very well done in Shakeology in comparison to just having a packet of stevia in my coffee. But I totally view the nutrition benefits of Shakeology to outweigh the stevia. And that's kind of the camp that I take it in most times.
Awesome. That's great. I like that. Let me see here. We're getting a lot. Real quick while I'm reading these, I wanted to ask the question because I know that there's a lot of coaches that get this. What do you, how do you combat the whole, like, when you're messaging someone back and forth and they're like, oh, well, I have my 2 questions actually, because this is one that new coaches always get stumped with. I have my, my protein shake from GNC, which we all know is full of crap. But what do you say to them? And then the other question I had with that is how do you, so that one, so I guess answer that one first, and I'll ask you the next one. I don't want to overload you. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So, depending on the person and the type of conversation I'm having, the first thing I always ask people when they're drinking something else is I say, a very like coined statement that just comes out of my mouth all the time where I ask them, how do you like the results you're getting with the shake you're drinking? Like that usually cures my like everything when it comes to people. Cause I'm like, how happy are you with the results you're getting? I don't think you're happy because we're having this conversation right now. So that's usually the first thing that opens the door to me where I can explain to them that there's a lot of products on the market, but they're not all created equally. And then I don't have to tell them about all the different ingredients in Shakeology or know all the ingredients in their product. But all I do at that point is I completely change the conversation from their product to my product. So I'm not going to go through and be like, GNC Lean Shake has this, this, and this, and Shakeology has this. I'm not going to say that to them, but I'm just going to say, hey, to whatever they said about if they were happy with the results they were getting, I'll say, what I know is that not all shakes are created equally. And this is what Shakeology has to offer. And this is what it's done for me. Are you open to trying that for 30 days and seeing how you feel in comparison to your shake? I'd love to have your feedback. Sometimes people love to have their opinion be known. So that's the one thing that I do when I get any other product offered to me.
That is awesome. And you actually answered the second part of the question, which was how do you compare? Because, a lot of times, and I do the old thing that Carl does, whereas all I know is that Shakeology has done this for me, because I don't compare for them. Right. If they ask me to compare something, I tell them that they can do that themselves. And here's the information on Shakeology. So I think that's good. For IBS sufferers, which we get a lot of, what is your advice on that?
Yeah, so I have a lot of people actually that have done Shakeology, that have IBS or Crohn's with me, and I can even send you guys the testimonial of it. One of my favorites is a girl that she's a discount coach on my team, but she drank Shakeology, I think for 3 years now, like every single day. Like she's never missed a day in 3 years. And her doctor was really awesome with her, and her gastroenterologist actually, and went through and helped her adapt to Shakeology. So she had to have like a quarter scoop like 3 times a week, and then they built her up to being able to have a full scoop every single day. And she drank it for 3 years, through 2 pregnancies, through all of her nursing. And her doctor is like totally in support of Shakeology after watching her go through this, and shared with her multiple times of how her nutrition, like she would not be able to be as healthy as she is without Shakeology, because her body just can't absorb nutrients from food the same way. So I totally think that for IBS and Crohn's, Shakeology is awesome. But what the problem is, just like anything, is you guys know the saying, like you can't outrun your fork, right? Like we can't exercise like all day and eat donuts like I wish we could and still get results. Like it doesn't happen. So the same thing happens with Crohn's and IBS. So if people are drinking Shakeology, but they're still like drinking alcohol and eating all the things their doctor tells them not to eat, they're not going to be able to tolerate Shakeology. They're not going to do well with it because their body is in a constant inflammatory state and it doesn't want anything. So that's the first thing when it comes to people with IBS and Crohn's that I help them see and deal with, is that like, this is like, Shakeology isn't going to fix you. It's going to be awesome for you, but like, we've got to fix your nutrition, which is the reason you need a challenge pack to begin with, so we can work on your nutrition. So that's what I do. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah. So I have IBS and I can't live without Shakeology. Literally, it's the game changer. And I ate like crap when I first started drinking it and had problems, because apparently you shouldn't drink Shakeology and eat Cheez-Its and drink Diet Pop. But I got over that. It was 5 years ago. But yeah, it's a big thing. But I know that I want to use this for new coaches to learn about Shakeology because it's so good. And that's a common question we get. And Jessie said, my dad had a superbug infection a year ago. I've been plugging Shakeology for a long time. I started him on green berry since I like it, but my dad is old school. How can I plug him for vegan? So switch him to vegan. Does he need to switch to vegan with a superbug? I guess not. Let me get some clarification.
I guess I don't know what the question is.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's Jessie. I don't totally understand. Jessie,
I unmuted.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, can you ask the question? I think I read it, like maybe not right.
So my dad is definitely a meat and potatoes Irish kind of guy. How can I plug him for vegan when he's like, if something has vegan in the title, I don't even buy it.
Oh, so you mean just more of like from a labeling standpoint, how to get him to see that like, hey, this could be a positive thing for you because it's easier for your body to digest, but not have him be like, I'm not vegan, I'm not going to drink that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, like, does he order Shakeology on his own, or do you give it to him?
The latter. So I'm
The
trying to
latter.
help him out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I would just like take it out of the bag. Goes me. That's like what I've done
All right.
with my parents. Like, you know, buy him a canister, put that sucker in the canister for him, you know, and just don't even tell him. Be like, I got you some chocolate because like I really like this one. You know, see what you think of this chocolate and just go with that.
Sounds good.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right. Dana asks, when someone asks you what's in your cup when you do your post, how do you answer them without giving up the name so they order it from you?
Okay, so when somebody asks me, like, what's that in your cup, or like, how'd you make that? Like, if I say something about like Thin Mint, you know, superfoods or like something like that, I always comment, thanks, girl, like whatever, if it was some kind of compliment about like how pretty it was. And then I say, I'll shoot you the recipe. Like, so I didn't even tell them that it wasn't, but then I'm going to shoot them the recipe and I'm going to say, hey, this is my chocolate superfoods. I do, you know, this, and this in that recipe that I had today. Have you ever tried Shakeology? And that's like what I say. Or I'll say, you know, would you like to try it? Sometimes I'll even say without even saying Shakeology, and I'll say, would you like to try it? And then they'll, you know, we'll start to talk about it. And then I can either, you know, if I feel like being generous, if they look like a really good prospect, maybe I'll send them a packet. But 9 times out of 10, this will be like maybe my last golden nugget for you of the night. Don't give things away for free ever when it comes to Shakeology. Like, if you want to give away free cleaning group, free water challenge, go for it. But guess what? If you give away Shakeology for free, they're not ever going to want to pay for it, right? So I view it this way, the same way with my gym. Like, I stopped giving free classes away a long time ago because I think that if I give it to you for free, like I used to run free like classes all the time, be like, oh, it's a free this tonight or free that. When people get it for free, then they don't want to pay anymore. So I always make people pay. It's a nominal fee to be like, hey, would you like to try, you know, 2 different flavors? Pick your 2 flavors, $10. I'll ship it to you, you know, or, you know, I'll ask them, hey, would you just like to do it for a month? It's 30-day money back guarantee. We can switch your flavor if you hate it. But I always make people pay for Shakeology.
That's a good point. It's a really good tip. Yeah, I love that. Awesome. Okay. It's almost, I know it's so late your time. I'm so sorry. And I thank you so much. Let me just see. Is there I think we have time for one more if anybody has a quick one. Are we good? All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Abby. This call was amazing, and I know you're busy, and I just appreciate you hopping on with it being so late on the East Coast and sharing with us. You were great, and thank you for your knowledge, because you guys, this is from a nutritionist, gym owner, like, you know, everything. And ironically, my sponsor, she was also like owned a fitness business, and all her clients were same story, asking her about Shakeology. So she went to see all the hype about it, and she ended up signing up as a coach online to get the bag of Shakeology so that she could figure out what people were talking about. And because she couldn't find anything wrong with it, same thing like she had with everything else. And that's actually how she signed up 6 years ago.
So crazy.
I know, it's kind of funny. So it's awesome though. All right, everybody, have an amazing evening. And this is definitely a call I would recommend watching again because there was a lot of good nuggets in it. So thanks, Abby. Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome. Have a good night, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.